I want to welcome to the program David Veenam, and he's the treasurer for Third Mutual, and he's here for an update, and we are going to be talking budget. That's why I keep saying we're going to do that today. You have had some big budget meetings that you've been going on. You're in their second reading of the budget. Is that where we're at right now?
Yep, it's budget, and more budget. We've had the second reading of the budget, and then we also had a regular monthly meeting this month. So it's been a pretty busy month.
And like I was just like saying just a second ago, that's the biggest thing that these boards really do, right? It's budgets and reserves. It's all about managing the money and being good stewards of that.
Yeah, we're what's known as a funding board. We don't determine particularly how services get delivered. What we do is determine what services our members want, and work with staff to create a budget, to get them as many of those services as we can without breaking the monthly dues.
And that's where you work with VMS to figure out, okay, we want X amount here in terms of landscaping, this is for recreation, this is for whatever, and then they provide those, right?
Exactly.
Right.
It's more that VMS determines the how, and we determine the what, because they're experts in how to get these things done. And what we do is figure out what do the residents want.
So take us through the process that we've been going through right now. You're on round 2 of the budget meeting. It started a little ways back, and obviously with round 1 and the initial proposal. And how do you make the determination of where you start? Is it here's what we have in terms of coming in, money's coming in, here's what we have in our reserves, and here's where we need to be?
That's actually more of a round 2. Round 1, we start with where we were last year.
Okay.
And then we look at, okay, going forward, another year, we can use this as kind of a baseline for figuring out where we want to go. And that's kind of the version 1 budget. Well, by the time we've gotten to version 2, we've been over the budget, and we've taken a look at, okay, what changes do we want to make? And version 2, we see those budgets. So by the time we get to version 3, which is coming up, we'll really be doing fine tuning and getting ready for a September vote.
And how much does the previous year's budget inform you on what is going to be happening in the next year? I mean, you'll say, hey, here's what we thought we were going to spend, here's what we did spend, and I imagine that's very informative, right? Yeah,
and that's really the basis when we're looking at the first pass at the new budget. That already reflects a bit of, we thought it was going to cost this much, it costs less, so we have more available. And then when we get to the second round, it's more, okay, is there anything that we can defer, set back a little bit? For example, this year, we thought we were going to have to do a lot of asphalt paving. Turns out less than we expected because the paving is lasting longer than we thought it would. So.
And I was going to mention, the prices have gone up on everything. If you're doing roofing, if you're doing asphalt paving, and that's a petroleum product, and all of the things that just inflation has kind of jumped into, all the construction materials. How are you guys adjusting to that and the realities of that? It's just more expensive, and you're doing your best to keep the dues down.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest challenge because inflation in the goods and services that we buy, they have gone up, and we're really working to hold the line as close as we can on those monthly dues. But it's a fact of life that in the next few years, with our aging infrastructure, the dues are probably going to have to go up. And we're also planning for that in the future.
Right, and that's just the realities of life, right? Yeah. Dues have never remained the same for too long.
True.
It's just one of the factors of living in this world. Tell me go through the process a little bit of what you guys have done in this round 2, most recent round, in terms of what adjustments have you made, what have you discovered, where is it headed?
Okay, in round 2, we've been taking a look at again what. Replacements are we going to have to do, or any of those items lasting longer than we thought they would, like the asphalt, where we're able to say, okay, we're not going to need to do that this year, so that's going to free up a little bit of money, but not for the long term because we may have to do it next year. So we're looking for items like that. And then we're also looking at ongoing programs rather, and problems. We've been relining the pipes in our 3-story buildings. And we're finding that that's going rather well, but it's going very, very slowly. So we're reevaluating that project right now, and we'll probably be making some changes to that so that we can get more of the pipes in our 3-story buildings relined.
Right, and that's one of those things where you instead of replacing the entirety of the pipes, you're just kind of putting a, what is that kind of I don't know what kind of filler.
It's an
epoxy
epoxy liner.
That's the word I was looking for, the epoxy. So, but that once you do that, then you also know that, hey, that has a life of X amount until
that'll last 20 to 30 years.
Right, and then.
Yeah, and it's much cheaper to reline the pipes, and our experience so far suggests that it does a great job in extending the life of those cast irons.
So again, a good way to save a little bit of money, but those pipes will go someday, and that you'll prepare for that. Luckily, 20 to 30 years down the line.
And then we're doing other things where we're actually spending some money now to save more money later, because there are certain things that we really can't defer. If we defer them too much longer, the expense is going to go up more.
Right.
For example, one of the things that we're doing is we're proceeding with what's known as a prior to paint program, where as a building gets painted, landscaping is going in. We're changing over the shrubbery to more drought resistant shrubbery, and we're also moving the shrubbery farther away from the building so we don't have to come in and do a lot of landscaping work the next time we paint that building.
There you go. So a little preventive maintenance there.
Yeah.
Now, for folks who want to come to round 3 and talk about that, I imagine you've had a lot of people coming. Again, that's the budget is what's getting most residents up and out of their chairs and into the meeting. So when's that one coming up?
Oh, that one is coming up on Monday afternoon, August 19th. It's going to be in the boardroom in the community center. And if people want to take a look at the agenda packet, this is an open meeting. People want to take a look at the agenda packet and take a look at the budget documents that we'll be taking a look at. We've got a slide that
find the proposal budget.
Yeah, that shows that they're on the website. Anybody can go to them. What you do is you go to the third mutual page and then go to documents. And when you get to documents under agendas, you'll see it.
Right, it's kind of open thing. So people can definitely jump on there, look at what's going on. And do you find that most people have taken a look and they're coming in with informed questions, or is it a little bit of everything?
It's a little bit of everything because people are interested in different things.
Right.
People at gates 11 and 14, they're very interested in the re-landscaping that's going on. State of California is requiring us to replace landscaping up there with more drought-resistant landscaping. They're interested in that. People in 3-story buildings want to know about the pipes. So different people have a lot of different stuff on their minds.
Now, as a treasurer, you're into these numbers, you take these deep dives.
Yeah.
What's it like for you to kind of go through this process and learn along the way?
This is actually my first time serving on a large HOA board like this. So, I mean, this has been fascinating because really, people think HOA, some small thing where the neighbors fight with each other. And here it's more...
Part of that's true.
Yeah. Yep. But this is really more like, it's a large enterprise. We have about 100 employees, and we have 4 different boards that work together, in addition to VMS, which provides staff and does the heavy lifting for us. So my experience was with large companies when I was working. So I kind of feel at home with this because it's a lot like that environment.
When you sit down and you go through these numbers, what are you aiming towards in terms of reserves? Where are you guys at now? Where would you like to be? And where would you like this budget to kind of land?
Yeah. With the budget, we we're trying to make sure first and foremost that our reserves are adequately funded. At some point, we're going to have to replace all of these buildings. Fortunately, it's not tomorrow or the next day, it's years off. But we have to plan for it, and every year we have to fund. And we could increase our reserves faster, but if we did that, we'd end up having to raise the monthly dues beyond a lot of people's ability to pay. So we don't want to do that. So that is the big balancing act. Usually on a seesaw, you only have two people. Well, we have a third, which is the money we have to spend on maintenance now. So it's a three-way seesaw for us.
Got to keep the seesaw going. So coming out to the meeting, it's going to be a 3-hour meeting. And what are people's, if they want to have an opportunity to talk for folks who maybe haven't come to a meeting before, is it a 2-minute, 3-minute? How long do they get to kind of speak their mind on those
Community input generally is 3 minutes. And we welcome the community input. We invite everyone to join us for that meeting and to express their thoughts and feelings on it.
And when a community member makes a point that you guys, hey, that's valid. Hey, let's do that. How does the board act on community input, and what are they not allowed to do in terms of community input?
The community input has to be on point, and we take all the input that we get. We take it pretty seriously. We'll discuss it in the meeting. Sometimes on some matters, we can modify a motion before the board. Right then, and that does happen occasionally. On larger matters, we typically will refer to the appropriate committee for discussion. And in some cases, the community input really has a large impact on the community. Earlier this year, there was a proposal to allow washers and dryers in manors in 3-story buildings in Third Mutual. And we asked the entire community for their opinion by way of a survey, and it came back almost universally negative. People didn't want to allow that. So as a result, we decided at the final meeting to vote that proposal down.
And what would be the negative on that? Why would that be a no on that? It seems, to me, without any knowledge of any of this, it seems like, well, why can't I have a washer and dryer?
Exactly. And in our 3-story buildings, 2 reasons really. The biggest objection that we had, people were worried about leaks. They said, if you have individual washers and dryers, they are going to be putting more stress and strain on the pipes, and we're going to see more leaks. And the others, washers and dryers can be pretty noisy.
Yeah, that's true too.
And there was a concern because there are people who like to do their laundry at midnight.
Right. Some interesting hours, most certainly from some folks.
Yeah, but it was the input that really turned the tide on that one.
All right, so this next meeting is coming up on the 19th, and you guys are going to have your regular board meeting on the 20th, right?
Yes.
Is that when the finalish kind of vote is going to be on the budget, or is it more of a process down the line?
The final vote on the budget will come in September.
Okay.
And because we'll do fine tuning at our third round, and then we'll take a final look in September, and then we'll vote on it. At the regular monthly meeting, we're really going to be dealing with mainly routine business. We have updated financial requirements to purchase in the village. We haven't brought those up to date in a few years, so we're readjusting those amounts to be more current with the environment. And then we'll be updating collection and lien enforcement policies, which fortunately we don't have to use very much.
All right, now another topic I want to hit on is resale inspections that you guys do there. Why is the board involved in those inspections on private sellers, between private sellers?
Right, and those transactions are between private sellers. The board has an interest because the mutual is responsible for the buildings. So we come in, take a look, and inside the unit we look at water heaters, which are an ongoing source of water damage problems. Make sure the water heater isn't too old, is in good shape. And so when we come in and do those inspections, we're looking at the mutual's interest. Now, a lot of people who buy in the village, they don't understand what that's all about, and they think that we're going in and doing a buyer's inspection.
Right.
Well, buyer's inspection is completely different. And what we really try to get people to understand is every buyer buying in the village needs to have a buyer's inspection done where somebody comes in and goes through the unit and looks for things.
Right, electrical, leaky, whatever. Is the toilet flushing correctly?
Exactly. And is the air conditioning working properly? We had a manor owner in front of our water damage restoration hearings a couple of weeks ago. And she was responsible for about $15,000 in water damage to the unit below hers.
Wow.
And what it stemmed from was the air conditioner, the lines running to the outside hadn't been adequately insulated, and condensation dripped long enough that it caused all kinds of water damage.
Oh my goodness.
And, as we talked about it, she said, well, it was that way when I bought it, so isn't it your responsibility? And what we remind people of is, no, California law still applies. It's called subject to. When you buy a piece of property, you buy it subject to whatever's there. And we can provide a purchaser with a list of alterations to the manor that we know about, but we can't tell them about alterations that were done on the sly that we were never informed of.
Yeah.
So people think, well, somebody who lived here before me did this. Isn't this your responsibility? And we tell them, no.
That's a big no.
And the poor lady with the air conditioning, we said, didn't you have your air conditioning inspected? And she said, well, no, the inspector said he couldn't get up into the attic where it was.
Oh boy.
And it ended up costing her. So when you get an inspector, make sure you get one who does a thorough job.
Yeah, make sure you get a good one. Okay, what's coming up? We want to look ahead to the anniversary celebration coming up here for Laguna Woods Village.
September 9th. This is our 60th anniversary. And while this powwow won't be quite as big as our 50th, it's going to be at Clubhouse 2, and it's basically going to be a party. We're going to have food. There's going to be no host bar. We are going to have a combo providing music, and we are going to have all kinds of booths and exhibit, including yours truly.
Wow.
At the,
There's an attraction.
at the Laguna Woods booth. It should be a lot of fun. Encourage everybody to attend.
All right, sounds like a good time, good party, sounds like fun, and of course you'll be there as well. So how can you not want to go to Mr. Veneman? Thank you so much for joining us, doing great work there as a treasurer for Third. Thanks a lot. When we come back, we're going to be giving a ticket giveaway for a Festival of the Arts event. So stay with us. You'll want these tickets.